Hello, I'm Otis Chandler. I'm the founder and CEO of Goodreads.com. I've been a reader since I was a kid. I discovered the Hardy Boys in the second grade, went through all those, and was definitely a reader all the way until I got to college. I went to Stanford, and it was a little academically challenging, so I kind of dropped reading for pleasure. So I think coming out of that, I really wanted to get back to reading. It was purely a selfish thing. The site really started 6 years ago in my living room when I quit my day job at a Silicon Valley startup and decided to do a social network for books. Because I'd been working in social networking before, and I could see that social was going to be a better method of discovery for all kinds of online content than anything else. And I really was just, selfishly, I wanted to see my friends' bookshelves without having to go to all their living rooms and walk in and check them out. Because I think that's really interesting and valuable information. So it started from that concept, and then I built it as a social network, and then a surprising thing happened. This community jumped in. And instead of Facebook, where it's all real world people that you're friending real world friends, but you're also meeting people through the site that are just avid book lovers, and they might have similar bookshelves to you, and you can talk about books with them, and it's really worked. There's a really amazing group of people who are just in there discussing books all day. There's a buzzword in publishing today, which is discovery. And everybody's talking about discovery. And the reason is because all these physical bookstores have declined or gone under, publishers are very worried, how are people going to discover, meaning purchase, books in an increasingly digital world. And I think if you watch people in a physical bookstore, they're often in a kind of very open, serendipitous mood when they go in, right? They don't always go in with a particular book in mind. They kind of go in and want to browse, and maybe they go in for one thing and come out with three. So no one has really recreated that kind of experience on the net except for Goodreads, because all the social methods of discovery, right? Finding books for your friends, diving through their bookshelves, checking out all the amazing lists and genres that our members have created and crowdsourced, browsing through our trivia, which is fun, browsing through our quotes, which is fun. Our recommendation engine, which I mentioned earlier, drives a ton of interesting discovery, a lot more mid-list discovery, right? So you're not necessarily finding the best sellers in there, because you probably are aware of those, but you can find those hidden gems in our recommendation engine. All that drives a lot more serendipitous discovery, and what we find is that people are building huge to-read lists on Goodreads, so that when they go to the bookstore, whether it's a physical one or a digital one, they have a better idea of what they want to read, and they have a long list of books with them.
And what information do you have to show about how that's affecting actual sales of books in some of those categories?
That's a great question. We do have 20,000 virtual book clubs on Goodreads, and these are just groups where member moderated, they read a book, sometimes two a month, and there's a discussion board. Not too dissimilar from Oprah's newly announced Book Club 2.0 format. I guess Goodreads has been doing that for a while. And yesterday in my keynote at IDPF, I presented a slide showing the early traction of 50 Shades of Grey. If you don't know the story of 50 Shades, it really got its viral word-of-mouth start on Goodreads and our Choice Awards in November of last year. And then after that, it kind of really gained traction, and then the mass media picked it up on March 1st, and then it exploded. But we were able to show that between when the book launched in June and when we picked it up for our Choice Awards in November, two of our largest romance readers and erotica reading groups picked it up that had 3,000 and 5,000 members each. And those are the groups that generated a ton of positive buzz for the book on Goodreads, that got it to have really the highest average rating of any book in the romance category for last year's Choice Awards, and got it to win second place. And that's what really popped that book, is we have some of the most hardcore, die-hard readers, and they've grouped together in our book clubs, and that's all they do. They read books and discuss them, and are always on the lookout for the next interesting book. So our business model is working with the publishers to sell book launch packages. So we're essentially working with the marketing departments of all the big six and many of the mid-major publishers, and helping them launch their titles. And for a book, it's really important that it's not like a movie where it has to launch on opening weekend, but the first month of a book makes or breaks it. Because if it doesn't sell by the end of the first month, then the physical booksellers take it off the stock and return it, and then it's not on shelves, it's not going to sell. So all of what we're doing is trying to build buzz with the book with our avid community right before the title launches, and we have a whole bunch of tools that can be used to really amplify and drive a ton of engagement during the launch.
What do you see as the most effective tools for authors, for people who've written books, when it comes to Goodreads?
That's a great question. There's kind of the longer haul, and then there's the launch window. So for the launch window, we recommend doing a giveaway or a couple giveaways. These are our most effective free tool to do, and they're free for publishers and authors to list. They just list the title for giveaway. They have to agree to ship the copies, so 5, 10, 15, 50 copies if you want. About half the people who end up winning will write a review. So if you want your book to be launching with 20 reviews, give away 40 copies. And then do that early, so one a month before, maybe one right during the launch. And then we do a targeted media campaign. So if you're coming out with a new murder mystery thriller and you want to put your book into the hands of anyone who's read, Dean Koontz, James Patterson, or Stieg Larsson or something like that, we can put your ads directly in front of those readers, because part of Goodreads is telling us what you've read. So we can do deep targeting that no one else really has, which is very compelling. And then the key thing is we've defined a new metric. So it's not just about views and click-throughs on Goodreads. It's about how much engagement did you drive. And our metric for engagement is how many people added your book to their to-read shelf. Because our to-read shelf is basically where users store books that look interesting to them and they want to read. Now, I know marketers' goal is to sell copies, and this isn't, no one in the book industry can track that, but this is a good intent of purchase, metric of intent to purchase. And it's a really fun thing to watch, as you market a book, as it comes out, as we drive awareness of it, to watch more and more people adding it to to-read, and then watch those to-reads start converting into reviews.